Last year, you made a powerful statement saying the reason people are watching women's basketball is not just because of one player, but because of you too. A year later, do you feel like you're
Next question.
The reporter didn't have to finish his inquiry, but he never did. In only 2 sentences, Angel Reed described the WNBA's current situation and its connection to Caitlin Clark. And things have recently taken a significant turn in that relationship. Allow me to clarify, there is no denying Caitlin Clark's influence on the WNBA. Record-breaking viewership, sold-out arenas, and millions of new fans. However, the league's collective mishandling of their fantastic chance is also indisputable. Many in the league resisted the Caitlin Clark impact rather than embracing it. They questioned the hype, minimized her influence, and, worst of all, made fun of her followers. The Caitlin Clark effect was viewed as a threat rather than a blessing. Additionally, it made little sense to anyone seeing from the outside.
WNBA last year, bless their hearts, finally got a star. And they didn't know that. They couldn't figure it out. Well, we don't want to put too much Caitlin Clark on. Nope, every game. More Caitlin Clark all the time, always. Caitlin Clark is easily the most influential athlete in a team sport since Michael Jordan.
The headlines, the hype, the success, the mainstream breakthrough, and the crowded arenas. The WNBA had been dreaming about this for decades. At last, they had the player, the time, the limelight, and the cultural breakthrough. They are on the verge of real money, decent pay, and international recognition. The problem was that Caitlin Clark was in the lead. Additionally, this was hardly a celebration for a lot of WNBA players. It was a funeral, because Caitlin's romance wasn't only a plot twist for some of them. It was a dream that had died. The hope that they would be the ones to improve the league as a whole. Perhaps the most difficult pill to swallow, the thought that after years of being told fans just don't care about the women's game, the fans did show up. They arrived for Caitlin just now.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
There are, indeed, Diana. We've witnessed players and the media go through what appear to be stages of sorrow, denial, rage, and the like, similar to a death. Just wait to see how everything comes together. It's crazy. In any case, it has been depressing, unsightly, and simply not good for the WNBA. However, things have changed recently. A moment that would not typically be noteworthy changed everything in the end. The WNBA is now completely aware of what will happen next. Additionally, they are frantically trying to get on the correct side of history. Now, let's discuss what transpired. But first, if you're prepared to watch the WNBA give in to Caitlin, watch this video. Remember to subscribe as well. Let's take a moment to go back.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
Half of the WNBA was already thinking about Caitlin Clark at this stage in the previous season. She wasn't a recent arrival. She exploded, sold out NBA stadiums, tripled viewership, and skyrocketed jersey sales. With fans waiting in line for hours and scalpers demanding playoff prices for regular season tickets, every Fever game become a must-see event.
If we say her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5 points.
Before Caitlin Clark ever put on a pair of professional sneakers, the jealousy began. There was nothing less of generational excitement surrounding her. She had just surpassed both the men's and women's NCAA all-time scoring records. She led Iowa to consecutive national championship contests. Every arena she touched was sold out. Dropped logo threes as if they were layups. The WNBA draft followed. Just a coronation. No suspense, no surprises. She was undoubtedly the top choice. She was the moment, though, more than that. The sponsors lining up, the camera flashing, and the media attention. The league had previously seen outstanding players, so that's when things became strange. MVPs, champs, and real stars include A'ja Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and Breanna Stewart. However, none of them arrived with this level of anticipation. And that hurt for a few. Let's start the grieving process. Denial. It went beyond simple skepticism. It was outright opposition. Players, the media, executives, and the old guard all jumped in to minimize the situation right away. Even before she took the court, you could see the fissures.
Last season. Clark, hammer
Three Sky players coming over. Here's Clark. For 29 points, gets tripped up.
Is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
The old guard would have had their "I told you so" moment if Caitlin had simply entered the room and performed poorly, even if she had been mediocre. The story would have written itself. College is college. The WNBA, however, is a different animal. You don't simply walk in and take control of the ladies who founded this league. The excitement would have subsided. The focus of the media would have changed. And the old guard was justified. However, it was not the case. With 2.1 million viewers, her debut game was the most watched WNBA game in more than 20 years. The ratings skyrocketed each time she performed. Sellout crowds, national broadcasts, and jerseys flying off the shelves. She was taking ownership of the occasion rather than merely meeting it. At that point, we noticed it. Anger is the second stage.
It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. So last night we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover?
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
The next phase was damage management, since it was obvious that Caitlin's appeal would not end despite the numerous eye rolls and media criticism she received. On the court, not off it. Whether they realized it or not, the league began to push back between the lines. Players exercised their rights. Off-ball hits, hard screens, and needless contact. What actions did the referees take? Whistles were pocketed. It developed into a pattern. Allow her to be struck. Allow her to become irritated. Allow her to reconsider whether or not she belonged. They attempt to physically put an end to the excitement if it doesn't go away on its own. And game after game, you could see it. She became weary of it. She was psychologically spent, battered, and fatigued. However, Caitlin overcame it. She refrained from crying. She refused to fold. She literally grew stronger and returned from the Olympic break to play the best basketball of her life. We are discussing MVP-level content. Making the first team All-Star, leading the Fever to victories, and shattering the assist record. We moved on to stage 3, bargaining, once she demonstrated that the hype was genuine. People attempt to make sense of the new world at this point. They try to explain everything in a way that allows them to cling to what they lost, and they bargain with others and with themselves, control, pride, and status. Since many athletes lost their ego, let's face it, after Caitlin entered the league and quickly became well-known, the focus shifted away from the veterans. It was her fault. What then did they do? They altered the narrative.
While Caitlin is fantastic and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA, there are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
They were aware that pursuing Caitlin head-on would backfire. Rather, they attacked anything in her immediate vicinity. The fans were attacked. The media was held accountable. They said that Caitlin wasn't the issue. Everybody else was. She was being treated with privilege. Her supporters weren't actual WNBA fans. The story: Caitlin Clark's skin tone must be the reason you liked her. Ignore the fact that, as a rookie, she led the league in assists. Ignore the fact that she was attracting unprecedented numbers of spectators and increasing the number of people watching the game. Nope. All of that was irrelevant because her magnificence was not the focus of the narrative. It had to do with bias.
And for the first time in history, WNBA games will be played in the United Center. The Chicago Sky will host the Indiana Fever at the UC on Saturday, June 7th, and on Sunday, July 27th.
It is the traditional propaganda manual. If you tell the lie enough times and loudly enough, people will ultimately stop challenging it, and a portion of the basketball community now genuinely thinks Caitlin Clark lacks talent. She is simply fortunate. However, they were mistaken if they thought the story would cause the Caitlin Clark effect to subside. Veterans began lining up to join the Indiana Fever one by one. These athletes weren't only content to be on a roster or in need of a job. These were season winners. The desire to perform in Indy was shared by Dana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sydney Colson, women with alternatives, and women with rings. Caitlin Clark is the reason, not just the roster or the coach. Not too long ago, media figures like Sheryl Swoopes portrayed Indiana as a destination that nobody wanted to visit. Even Diana Taurasi recently brought up the previous suspicions, but that storyline fell apart. Indy is the destination, not just a place to visit. The floodgates opened as a result.
Average reported ticket price was $650. Now, if you do the math here and you do 15,000 people times $650, that is almost $9.75 million just for a WNBA preseason game.
The arena renovations came first. Games were being rearranged specifically for her. Not for all stars, not for playoff ramifications, not for league mockery, but for Caitlin Clark. NBA arenas were suddenly being booked by teams that usually played in smaller gyms because they had to. It was an obligatory demand. More seats were required if Caitlin was visiting the area. The broadcast schedule followed. 41 of the Indiana Fever's 44 regular season games will be televised nationwide. That's saturation, not simply visibility. Bets were not being hedged by the networks. Almost every night, they were placing all of their bets on a single player, believing that the Caitlin Clark performance was worthy of primetime billing. The preseason games followed. An venue with 15,000 seats was sold out for one of them, an exhibition game. Preseason is that. Just Caitlin, no standings, no playoff stakes. Additionally, admirers paid hundreds of dollars to watch her warm up.
Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games? I think we have to understand that when one player eats, we all eat. And as we all get more opportunities, it just opens it up for everyone else.
Caitlin Clark a problem, bro.
Yeah, she that.
I just think about my rookie year and I think about how I came into the league and I'm like, bro, it was such a crazy transition for me to just understand what it's like to play at pro level. And it's like this girl coming in as a rookie and going she broke the record for assists. I don't think people really understand how crazy that is to do as a rookie, your first year doing this. But that's another episode. Shout out to Caitlin, bro.
The plays that she was making still, despite all that, was insane. But people were so caught up in the logo threes and the highs, the 23-point attempts per game, which absolutely I understand that. It was so much fun to watch. But I always said she could potentially be one of the best point guards to ever play in the WNBA.
It was impossible to ignore the Caitlin Clark impact at that time. There was no hype. It wasn't spin for marketing that IT was unprecedented in terms of momentum, money, and math. Many gamers saw reality in a different way. They weren't being built around by their own teams. They relied on Caitlin. The Fever's arrival was linked to promotions. Only when she was in town did ticket sales increase. The broadcasters were aware of it. The sponsors were aware of it. The supporters were undoubtedly aware of it. And somewhere in the middle of the marketing frenzy, the sold-out venues, and the change in league spirit, something began to take hold: acceptance. The participants then began to converse.
Fans filed outside in droves, getting ready at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and watch parties all around Iowa City. Everybody wants to catch a glimpse of Iowa's favorite daughter, Caitlin Clark, returning home.
Has the coverage been flawless? Not, of course. There are still many voices that are more willing to criticize than to appreciate, as well as snubs and double standards. However, the tone has changed gradually and clearly. The same media outlets that used to scrutinize her every action are now focusing on her effect, leadership, and work ethic. Some of the players who previously appeared doubtful are now beginning to give credit, true credit. She's not only talented, but she's also altering the rules. And that gets us to the pivotal moment: Caitlin Clark's return home.
The day for Brazil. Here's Clark. Wow! You bet! From beyond the logo!
With everyone watching, Caitlin smashed the NCAA scoring record by running up the floor and making a three-pointer from behind. IT was more than a shot. It was a declaration. And the supporters went completely crazy, because basketball was no longer the only thing at stake. This had to do with amusement. It was narrative, theater, a perfectly timed full circle moment. Caitlyn was aware of her location, the significance of the occasion, and how to convey it. The crowd would always remember it.
I think one of the things I love about Caitlyn the most is her understanding and like willingness to like meet the moment and like do the thing that she knows everyone wants her to do.
She knows what the people
She broke the record making that shot to begin with. There's just like a certain star quality and like star power there. But it takes you being confident enough, willing enough to be like, oh no. I know what you want. Come here. I'm gonna give it to you. I loved it so much. I just think it's great. I love when athletes like have that like bring the cameras right over here.
Well,
it's so fun.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. She knows it.
Speaking about satisfying supporters' desires, even the Brazilian national squad was unable to do so. They did more than simply shake hands and leave the court after the exhibition game. They surrounded Caitlyn, grinning, giggling, and taking photographs as if they had just met Michael Jordan, because it was precisely who she was in their views.
Yeah, it is clear that she is having her freaking Michael Jordan moment right now.
This was the time. The 1.3 million spectators, the sold-out audience, and the opponents surrounding her for autographs following the final bell. In our age of sound bites and snapshots, perception frequently outweighs evidence. The image now matched reality. The numbers were already known to all. Everyone was aware of the media attention, merchandise sales, arena renovations, and broadcast schedule. However, this was not like the others. The illusion broke at this point. The delusion that anyone else was involved.
1.3 million people watched it on ESPN. 1.3 million people. Let me put that in perspective, just between us. No NBA preseason game has had that audience in the last 7 years. Only 2 preseason games in the NBA have had that audience in the last 15 years. More people watched this preseason game than game 1 of last year's WNBA finals. No MLB spring training game has ever come close. The most is when 912,000 people watched the Yankees-Phillies, and that was 20 years ago. 1.3 million people watched Caitlyn Clark.
The game was altered as a result.
Favorite to win MVP, should she be?
Yeah, I think so. When you talk about Caitlyn Clark, she averaged 19 points, 8 assists. I love that you're counting for me. I need you to count out loud. 19 points, 8 assists last season, but had an even better finish to the season after the All-Star break, after the Olympic break. She lit it up. What did she average? 12 assists during that time? She now has more pieces around her, more teammates she can get the ball to, and she had a full off season.
It is a balance, but she's a generational talent. No league's ever about one player, but in this case, Caitlyn brought tens of millions of new viewers into the W, and there's no denying that impact. Not just in the WNBA, but the world of sports. Adam and I talk all the time about she's the most popular athlete in America,
Players, the media, and commentators are suddenly much more supportive of Caitlyn Clark than they were a few weeks ago. Why? Because it was no longer debatable in light of what transpired throughout the preseason, the sellouts, the ratings, and the seriousness she brought to every building.
Like this season, people are trying to get on the right side of history after kind of being weird the first year. So I can see like the narrative is already kind of, they're waiting for her to produce so that they can say like they were right.
When everything clicks, start the offs. Caitlyn Clark wasn't merely enjoying her celebrity. She was working harder than anyone. Caitlyn was rushing between high-profile events, speaking engagements, NFL owner meetings, the Masters, and still turning up at the gym by 8 a.m. the next morning, while most players were easing into the off-season. Each time, no justifications, no absences, and no burnout. That goes beyond simple discipline. That is legendary conduct right out of the playbook of Kobe Bryant.
You want to call Mamba mentality. Whatever you define as Mamba mentality, there's no question about it that Caitlyn Clark has it.
Caitlyn Clark is more powerful, larger, and ready to rule. Her physique is designed for the professional grind. Her decision-making skills have improved, and her self-assurance in the spotlight has only increased. She is no longer merely getting used to the WNBA. She's getting ready to take control. Regarding the haters, some are deliberately attempting to further the story by complimenting Caitlyn, while others accept the reality by remaining silent. Next query. The sorrow of not being the main attraction. That's what this ultimately boils down to. Additionally, each player experiences it in a distinct way. While some express dissatisfaction, others remain silent. Some have embraced it from the beginning, such as Sophie Cunningham. But regardless of how it appears, the time has come. There is evidence everywhere. It is astounding in scope. There was more to that preseason contest in Iowa than just anticipation. It was the Caitlyn Clark effect coming back to life. And it will be larger than before this time. If you made it all the way, please leave a trophy in the comments. I appreciate you watching.